everyone, this is Mrs. Snowbeck. Today we are going to review for the Unit 4 quiz. So we're going to do this like we always do, where I have you pause the video and try the problem, and then when you're done, unpause and see if you got it right. So go ahead, try number 1. So remember, the sum means what do they all add up to? If there's 25 sides, you're going to do 25 minus 2 times 180, which is really 23 times 180. And when I typed that in my calculator, I got 4,140 degrees. Please try number 2. So hexagon is 6 sides. If it's regular, that means all of the angles are the same size. So think about a hexagon. It has 6 sides, so 6 minus 2 times 180 is 4 times 180, which is 720. So all of the angles add up to 720. Each of the angles is 10x. So 6 10x's should equal 720. Because each of these corners is going to be 10x. So there's 6 of them. Okay, so that's 60x equals 720. Divide by 60, and x equals 12. So it just said solve for x, so we are done. Please try number 3. First, figure out the sum of the interior angles. So first figure out 21 minus 2 times 180 is 19 times 180, which is 3,420. Now this is what the sum of all the interior angles are in a 21 gon, but we want to figure out what's the measure of an interior angle. So we have to divide that. We have to take 3420 and divide it into 21 parts. So divided by 21 is a weird number, 162.86 degrees. So that is the answer for each interior angle. Please try number 4. Find the sum of the exterior angles of a 21 gon. Now interior angles, the sum is different for every shape, but exterior angles, no matter what the shape, the sum of the exterior angles is always 360 degrees. That's it. That's your answer. Please try number 5. So they're telling us we have a regular polygon and the angles inside of it are 162, 162, 162, and so on. And we have to figure out how many sides would this thing have. Well, the way that I do it is I figure out how big is an exterior angle. If I extend this, these two should add up to 180. So 180 minus 162 is 18. So that means this little angle out here is 18 degrees. Well, remember, exteriors always add up to 360. So how many 18s does it take to get to 360? So basically we do 360 divided by 18, which is 20. So this has 20 sides. Please try number 6. Here we have a hexagon, and we're dealing with interior angles. So we're going to do 6 minus 2 times 180, 6 because it has 6 sides, which is 4 times 180, which is 720. So altogether, these should add up to 720 degrees. Now, if you add 7x, 4x, 7x, 7x, 4x, 7x, that is 36x, and it has to add up to 720. So divide both sides by 36, and x equals 20. And we're done. Sometimes, like watch on the quiz, maybe it'll say find the measure of angle H or something like that, and you would have to plug in the 20, wherever it's asking for. Please try number 7. This one should seem sort of familiar. We did one like this like 2 problems ago. It's saying every angle here is 160. How many sides does it have? So remember, find an exterior angle. In this case, it would be 20 because they're a linear pair, so they have to add up to 180. And then exteriors add up to 360, so how many 20s does it take to get to 360? I think it is 18, so this would have 18 sides. Please try number 8. All right, so these are exterior angles. So it doesn't matter how many sides it has, they're going to add up to 360. So take all your like terms, 6x, 2x, 5x, 2x, 3x. Let's add that up. Let's see, 5 and 6 is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I think I got 18. What'd you guys get? Hopefully you got 18. So I have 18 x's. And then it looks like we have plus 10, minus 5, minus 5. So I think that comes out to 0. And it's got to add up to 360. Divide by 18. X is 20. Please try number 9. All right, remember a rectangle is a parallelogram that has 4 90-degree or right corners. So it has all the properties of a parallelogram. Opposite sides are parallel, opposite sides are congruent. The diagonals are congruent in a rectangle also. So this diagonal across here would be equal to this diagonal across here. Next we have the rhombus. So a rhombus is kind of like a square that's tipped over. It's got 4 equal sides. It is a parallelogram, so opposite sides are parallel, opposite sides are congruent, opposite angles are congruent. And one cool thing is the diagonals bisect each other, but also they're perpendicular. So remember that, they meet at 90. Also, they cut the corners in half. So if this corner was 80 degrees, this side would be 40 and this side would be 40. That does not happen in the rectangle. Next, we have trapezoid. So a regular trapezoid has 1 pair of parallel sides. But if it's an isosceles trapezoid, it would also have 1 pair of congruent sides. So it kind of depends if it's isosceles or not. Kite. A kite has 2 pairs of consecutive congruent sides. Looks like this. One thing about a kite is the diagonals are perpendicular, so they do meet at 90 degrees. One diagonal gets bisected, but one doesn't. 2 of the angles are congruent. This one over here and this one over here would be the same size, but not the top and bottom angles. Lots of kind of crazy things about a kite. And finally, the square. So a square is basically a rhombus that has 4 right angles, just like that. And since it's a rhombus, it has diagonals that are perpendicular. So there's 3 of those that have perpendicular diagonals. It's the rhombus, the square, and the kite. Kind of cool. Please try number 10. So there are 5 tests to know if something's a parallelogram. The first one is if opposite sides are parallel. So if you have a little parallelogram and you know these are parallel and these are parallel, that's enough to know it's a parallelogram. The second way to know if something's a parallelogram is if opposite sides are congruent. The third way to know is if opposite angles are congruent. The fourth way to know is if you have diagonals that bisect each other. So if this diagonal and this diagonal, if this gets cut in half and then this gets cut in half. And then the fifth thing is if you have a parallelogram that has 1 pair of sides that's both parallel and congruent on the same set of sides, then that's enough to know it's a parallelogram. So here you're looking for one of these 5 things. In part A, you actually have 2 of them. You have number 1 and number 4. So part A is going to be a yes, this is a parallelogram, and you could say opposite sides are parallel, or you could say diagonals bisect each other. Let's try part B. Part B is also a yes, and this time opposite sides are congruent. Opposite sides congruent. So that's like number 2. Part C. Part C is no, because you have one pair of parallel sides, but not both. You have one pair of congruent sides, but not both. And for number 5, you could have a situation where you have one of each, but they have to be on the same pair of sides. So that's not enough info. Not enough info to know. Part D, again, you only know 2 of the angles. You have to know at least 3. If we know this one is 115, then remember in a 4-sided figure, a quadrilateral, it has to add up to 360. So if they would have given us one more angle, we could have figured out, oh, this is 65. Opposite angles are congruent. But since they didn't give us those and we don't actually know how big they are, this is also not enough info. Have to have at least 3 of the 4 angles. Please try number 11. So we're looking for the measure of angle MHT. MHT is going to be this angle over here in blue. One thing I notice is this is a trapezoid. The reason I know it's a trapezoid is it's got one pair of parallel sides, and in addition, it's got one pair of congruent legs, and so it's an isosceles trapezoid. And in an isosceles trapezoid, base angles are congruent. So this would also be 59 degrees. So the measure of angle MHT is 59 degrees. Please try number 12. So they give us that the measure of angle ABD. So if I trace that, ABD, we're talking about this angle right here. That is 4x plus 2. And then angle CBD, so let me trace that, CBD, so that is down here. That is 5x minus 2. And they want us to find the measure of angle ABD. Well, the key here is they tell us it's a rectangle. And in a rectangle, corners are right angles. And so angle B, like this whole corner over here, is a 90-degree corner. So 4x plus 2 plus 5x minus 2 should add up to 90. You get 9x equals 90. Divide by 9. X equals 10. But you are not done. You have to find the measure of angle ABD, which is this one. So it's going to be 4 times 10 plus 2. 42 degrees is the measure of angle ABD. So next, you're going to try worksheet Unit 4 review. If you have questions as you're working on it, please send me a Schoology message. Have a great day.